Hi, I'm Lucy from Sew Essential and I'm here today to take a closer look at the Brother 4234 Overlocker, just one of a wide range of overlockers and cover stitch machines available to buy on our site sewessential.co.uk. At Sew Essential, we pride ourselves on using our expert knowledge to help you find the perfect machine for you, and that's why I've made this video, but we're also here to support you by phone or email too. The Brother 4234 is the next model up from the 3034, and the additional features you get are just generally a better build quality. So you'll notice that the hooks that you pass the threads through are more secure. The telescopic thread guide is metal rather than plastic. You also get a thread cutter on the side of the machine, so you're not having to constantly reach for your scissors. There's also a needle threader, and it's the excellent Brother needle threader, which I just find so reliable and think is one of the best ones on the market. You can sew a 2-thread overlocking stitch as well as the 3 and 4-thread overlocking stitches, and you also get 2 stitch fingers included with the machine, one of which is designed to make sewing stretch fabrics even easier. The same as the 3034, you get the fast, easy looper threading system, which makes threading the loopers so much easier, and I'll show you that in the video. You get differential feeds, so you can choose whether to compress or gather the fabric as you sew, a retractable knife so you can choose whether to trim off the excess fabric, a convertible free arm which makes sewing in the round on sleeve hems and necklines so much easier. You can use a standard sewing machine needle, and you get a blind hem foot and the trim trap included. I'll pop a link in the corner of the screen so you can take a closer look and purchase it there. We'll have a look at the end of the video what's included in the box, but now let's get started by taking a closer look at what this brilliant machine can do for you. The first step in threading the Brother 4234D is to pass each of the threads through the telescopic thread guide, and you'll notice that on this machine it's metal. On the lower machines in the range, the 2104 and 3034D, this is plastic, and we've got the full range on our website so you can see all of the machines and get all the information and purchase them there. Normally I would extend this to its full height before passing the thread through, but just so you've got visibility, I'm going to leave it at this lower level. And you just bring the thread from back to front through thread guide number 1, underneath, through the groove there, and then through thread guide number 2, and then I'll extend that out of shot and click the thread into the guide number 3 on top of the machine like so. And I should just also mention, you always thread this machine in a specific order. So you always start by threading the lower looper, then the upper looper, then the left needle, then the right needle. And then before we thread any of the loopers or needles properly, we just need to raise the presser foot using this lever here. And you also turn the hand wheel towards you, making sure that it's in line with the marking on the side of the machine. Then slide the front cover across to open it, and you'll see here the numbered guides continue, and the lower looper is in the blue colour, so we can just follow that thread path as marked on the machine. So you'll come through here, which is number 4, and then we're going to go through number 5 here, and just slot the thread into the guide, and then we're going to go across to number 6 and 7, so these metal guides here, we just want to go underneath both of those like so, through number 8 here, so I've just slotted that through number 8, that thread guide there. And then this is where the Brother machines come into their own. We've got to thread the lower looper, and sometimes on manual threading machines you have to get tweezers and get into a part of the machine that's really difficult to reach. But with the Brothers, we've got this lever here labelled number 9. If I move that across to the right, if you watch the lower looper, you'll see that drop down, and that gives me much easier access to get that lower looper threaded. And all I've got to do is just take the thread around that metal triangular guide there and then pass it through the eye of the needle. Now I'm going to bring the thread around the back of the metal triangle guide there, so I'll just hook it with my finger around the back like so, and then pass it through the eye of the lower looper needle from front to back. So that's just the same as threading a sewing machine needle. You just pass the thread through the eye of the needle and pull it through the other side. And you do get tweezers included with the machine if you need any help with that. And then I would pass the thread under the arm of the machine and to the back of the machine. And I just want to mention here that on the 4234D, these thread guides, number 5 and number 8, they're more secure than on the lower end models, the 2104 and the 3034. On those models, it's an open hook, but on the 4234, it is 2 metal parts, and so the thread is more secure within those guides. Now I'm going to thread the upper looper, and I'm just going to turn the hand wheel to return the lower looper to its original position. And then we're bringing the thread down through the thread guides again, so number 4 through number 5, and again that is a more secure thread guide than on the lower range models. We've got the full range on our site, so if you want to get any more information, see any further reviews or purchase them, you can do so there. And then I'm just bringing the thread under this thread guide, which is number 6, but not under number 7, which is that one on the left hand side. So for the lower looper, we brought the thread through both of these thread guides, 6 and 7, but for the upper looper we're only going through 6. And then we're going to go through guide number 7 here, and then we're going to thread the upper looper by just passing the thread through the eye of the needle from front to back, like you would with a sewing machine needle. Looper needles are actually slightly bigger, the eye of the needle is, than a sewing machine needle as well. And then that's it, the upper looper is threaded and ready to go. And again, I would just pass the thread under the arm of the machine and to the back of the machine. Now we're going to thread the left needle, and this is where I can show you one of the real standout features of this particular model, the excellent Brother needle threader. I love the Brother needle threader. I really do think it's one of the most reliable and easiest to use on the market. So we've still got the presser foot in the raised position. We're going to bring the thread under, up and over, and then down the left hand side of that metal guide, because we're threading the left needle. And then I'm going to pass the thread behind the guide on the needle bar, like so. And then to use the needle threader, we just need to select whether we're threading the left or the right needle. So I'm going to select left. And then before we use the needle threader, we're just going to lower the presser foot, bring the thread up through the metal notch, over the number 7. And then another additional feature you get on this machine is the thread cutter on the side of the machine, which I really like because it's useful for when you're threading the needles, but also when you're sewing, you don't have to keep reaching for your scissors. You can just cut your threads off using the thread cutter. And then we're just going to bring the needle threader down in one single motion, and you'll see it swing around and then release it, and the needle is threaded. It's just so easy. And then what I would do is raise the presser foot again, and then you'll be able to pass the threads under the foot and to the back of the machine, like so. And then you just repeat the process for the right needle, but you move this gauge across to R for right instead that time. Now I'm threading the right needle, so I'm going to follow the thread paths marked by the green arrows this time, up and over in the same way we did for the left needle, but then to the right hand side of the metal guide here. Again, we're going to go behind the needle bar, and then we're going to move this switch across to right because we're threading the right needle this time. And then before we use the needle threader, I'm going to lower the presser foot, bring the thread up through that notch, across the number 7, trim the excess thread off, and again just bring the lever down, and you can see the needle is threaded. So we're all set and ready to sew now. We've got the upper and lower loopers threaded, and we've also got both needles threaded. So we are ready to do the really exciting bit and to start sewing. So the machine's set up and ready to go for a 4-thread overlocking stitch now. And before I start sewing, I'm just going to attach the trim bin, which is another great feature of the 4234D. You get one of these included, and when you're sewing with an overlocker, very often you'll be trimming excess fabric off. That just goes all over the table and you've got a clean-up job to do. But if you've got a trim bin, all of those bits get caught in the trim bin and it just makes things a lot neater and tidier in your workspace. So I'm just going to position the fabric under the foot and we'll go ahead and sew that lovely neat 4-thread overlocking stitch now. I think one of the other things about the 4234D, it feels smooth as you sew, which I really like. And you'll notice I've just used the thread cutter on the side of the machine, and you can see there we've got this beautifully balanced stitch. We've got the upper looper thread in red on the right side of the fabric, and then we've got the lower looper thread in blue on the wrong side of the fabric. You've also got the option on the 4234D to sew a 3-thread overlocking stitch. I'm going to show you the narrow one, which just uses the right needle. You can also sew a wide 3-thread overlocking stitch using just the left needle. And then obviously you've got your loopers threaded as well. But all of the information for the different stitches, the stitch widths, lengths, the differential feed, all of that is in the manual, so just refer to that and just make sure that you always follow the threading order that I mentioned at the start of the video. But let's go ahead and sew this 3-thread narrow overlocking stitch now. And you can see there it's just a more delicate stitch than the 4-thread. It's narrow because I've chosen to sew it just with the right needle, but I like to use this sometimes to finish the seams on a blouse that perhaps I've used a lighter weight fabric like a linen or something along those lines. It's just a bit more delicate than that 4-thread overlocking stitch, but I wouldn't use this for garment construction generally because the 4-thread overlocking stitch obviously is a lot stronger. When the machine's set up for a 3-thread overlocking stitch using the right needle, you've also got the option to sew a rolled hem. And to do this, we just need to remove this thing here, which is the stitch finger, and that just makes the stitches nice and rolled over the edge of the fabric, because the rolled hem is a decorative finish often used on lighter weight fabrics like cotton lawns or chiffons. You'll often see it as the edge finish on a chiffon scarf, for example. So everything's set up for a 3-thread narrow hem, and then I've just removed the stitch finger, and then I've just set the machine up according to all the instructions in the manual. It tells you for all of the stitches what stitch width to set, what stitch length, whether you need any differential feed adjustments. And then I'm just going to go ahead and sew the 3-thread rolled hem. And you can see there I've got a lovely pretty stitch, and it's wrapped the edge of the fabric and got that rolled effect, and it's just a really neat pretty way of finishing the edge of fabric, a decorative way to do it. The other thing to mention as well is that you can use the excess thread chains as little belt loops, or perhaps loops for your bra straps on clothes that you might want to make. But there you can see that lovely rolled hem finish. You also have the option on the Brother 4234D to sew a 2-thread overlocking stitch, which you don't always get with overlockers. You don't get that on the 2104 or the 3034D, which are the lower range models in the Brother range, but they're all available on our site, so you can see full details on our site. But to set up for the 2-thread overlocking stitch, first of all thread either the left or the right needle depending on the width of stitch you require. So I've got the left needle threaded at the moment. And then in your accessory pack you'll find this piece, and we're going to attach this piece to set the thread change assembly so that we can sew the 2-thread overlocking stitch. And the first thing that we need to do is turn the hand wheel, which is on the right hand side of the machine, and instead of lining the marking up with the line on the side of the machine, you'll see a marking labelled TC, and you want to line the marking on the hand wheel up with the TC on the side of the machine. Then you take this piece, and if I squeeze it like so, you can see I can squeeze the metal towards the plastic, and that just opens up the hole in the middle there, and that means I'm able to slot that over the upper looper there, and then the metal piece here goes through the eye of the looper there. So if I just squeeze that together and slot it on like so, and then I can just make sure that the metal piece goes through the eye of the upper looper. And then once we've done that, we just thread the lower looper in the normal way. Check again the settings in the manual for the 2-thread overlocking stitch, and we'll be able to go ahead and sew that 2-thread overlocking stitch. So I'm just going to go ahead now and sew the 2-thread overlocking stitch using the left needle, so it's the wider version. And there you can see I've got that delicate 2-thread stitch. So you've got the lower looper thread on the top of the fabric, and then you've just got the needle thread on the bottom of the fabric, and it's just a really delicate edge finish for fabrics. You also get a blind hem foot included with the machine, and in the manual you'll find all the instructions on how to attach it, how to fold the fabric, but I'm just going to go ahead and sew with it and show you it now. So you can see there, you've got your very minimal stitches on the right side of the fabric. Obviously, if I sewed those in a matching thread colour to the fabric, they'd be even less visible. You'll always get a tiny little pinprick on the right side. And then on the back, you've got some neat overlocking stitches finishing your hem. So that's how the blind hem stitch works. I just want to give you a quick walk round of the machine so you can see where you make the different settings for the different stitches. So first of all, we've got the presser foot lever here, which you just use to lift and lower the presser foot. Underneath that, we have the stitch length dial. So in the manual, depending on the stitch that you're planning on sewing, it will recommend a setting for that, and you just turn the dial like so to select the relevant number. Below that, you've got the differential feed, which is normally set on 1, but if you want to deliberately stretch the fabric for a lettuce edge, for example, you can knock that down. Or if you want to compress your fabric, if you notice that it's going wavy as you sew, or you want to sew a gathering stitch perhaps, you can turn that up. And then over here we have the stitch width dial, and again in the manual, depending on the stitch that you're sewing, it will give you advice on how to set that. On the top of the machine, you'll find the presser foot pressure dial. You can adjust that if you're working with different thicknesses of fabric. And then finally, we've got the tension dials on top of the machine for the left and right needles and the upper and lower loopers. And again, the manual will suggest settings for these based on the type of fabric you're working with and the stitch that you want to sew. One of my favourite features of this machine is the removable piece that creates a free arm flatbed conversion. So this means that you're able to sew in the round much more easily. If you're sewing a hem on a sleeve, for example, you can slide the sleeve over the end of the machine, and then you don't run the risk of sewing the bottom layer of fabric. You're only going to sew the layer of fabric that you want to, and you can work your project round without running the risk of sewing that bottom layer. This is also where you attach the extension table if you choose to purchase the extension table. So if you're impressed with all the amazing features on this fantastic machine, just click the link in the corner of the screen and you can purchase it there. In the box you'll find everything you would expect: a detailed instruction manual, the foot control, spool caps, thread nets, tweezers, the screwdriver, some spare needles, the extra stitch finger, the blind hem foot and the trim trap. Then if you want to take your sewing even further, there's more feet and accessories available to purchase on our site. Just check out the links to our site and you'll find them there. And if you need any help choosing, don't hesitate to ask, because that is what we're here for. I've given you a really good overview of the Brother 4234 Overlocker, but if I've left any of your questions unanswered, don't hesitate to get in contact. We're always happy to help before and after you purchase a machine from us. All of our machines come with a full manufacturer's warranty, so that's 3 years on the Brother 4234, and in the unlikely event that you have a problem, just get in contact and we'll be happy to help. Most of the time we can resolve any issues over the phone, but if that's not the case, we'll collect the machine and do everything for you. We offer the best prices, but if you do see this model cheaper somewhere else, don't hesitate to get in contact and we'll be happy to help. All of our machines are delivered by courier the next working day with a dedicated time slot, so you will know exactly when to expect your happy post. I hope you're feeling excited about your new machine, and thanks for watching.